What's up? How y'all doing tonight? Well, this is Carpo here, and I decided I'm going to talk about my faults. Why? Because I've made over 2,000 videos, probably more like 2,500. Spent a lot of time talking about various, things that I've discovered and things that I've observed in others, and I've always been honest about myself and my own shortcomings. But I figured I wanted to lay them out. Not that anybody gives a shit what my problems in life are, and I'm definitely not going to bring my problems out, and that's not really my intention, but rather to show that, I'm a faulty human, and I'm willing to admit it on camera in front of the world, because to me that's strength, and that's integrity, that's value, that to me vocalizing rather than just thinking about, oh, I could work on this. It's very difficult for a person often to sit there and say, this is my problem, this is what I need to do, and for me I do it every day. I've never justified, let's say, smoking cigarettes, which I've done on and off over the years. I've never justified it by saying, oh well, I don't, sometimes I'll say, I don't smoke that many, that kind of stuff, but I catch myself doing it. And let's take cannabis for example, because I want to smoke a bowl while I'm doing this video. I really enjoy cannabis. I really enjoy the nice glass pieces and pipes, and I'm totally into the culture, but one may see that from the outside and say, you're just a stoner. And that's fine, because yes, I am. I'm a stoner. I enjoy being stoned. And I guess what inspired me really to make this video was the idea that, before I came in here, I made a cup of tea for my caffeine. I stepped outside, I took a couple drags. I came back in here and, I took a couple Valium about an hour ago first. And then I came in here and then now I'm smoking a bowl. And this is just my addictions. These are just my little quirks. And I guess I wanted to expound on this because in the last video I mentioned how the addiction, let's say, to cigarettes, tobacco, isn't always nicotine, and very seldom is the nicotine itself. The nicotine addiction is pretty easy to break. I've done it a lot of times. It's only when my mental state is prepared for the change. And that's why they say you have to find other things to fill your time and whatnot. But I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't sit and smoke a cigarette. I'll step outside and maybe take a couple drags, put it out, smoke it over maybe 4 or 5 sessions, or maybe 3 or 4. And I don't do it. It's almost like I rush through it over the years. The more I don't sit there and just enjoy a stogie, and I do it because I'm trying to find something to fill that moment. And so that comes down to my next flaw, which is the fact that, and this is one I think a lot of people will relate to and share, which is that sometimes life, especially in today's world, it tends to make us think that we need to do more and more and more, that we've always got to be doing something. I'm the kind of guy who, when I get in my car, I'm always in a hurry to get somewhere, even though I'm not really going anywhere important. I'm not stepping into any major job interview, or maybe 2 or 3 times I was late for something that was important. Let's say a probation meeting when I was on probation, and I'd have to drive fast. But most of the time it's just a matter of impatience for me. I have a low tolerance for idiots. People who do stupid shit on the road, I just get around them, do what I need to do. I don't drive offensively and be harsh to people. I don't cut people off, but I don't allow people to cut me off. I'm the guy who will see somebody in my rear view mirror that's trying to creep up and get over at the last minute, and I'll block them, And that's another one of my faults, but it's one that I've been considering deeply over the last 5 years or so. Pardon me, I got a kind of a stuffy nose tonight. when I find somebody doing something dumb like that, like in traffic, and I call them out on it by either honking or by not letting them in or whatever, often the passenger, like I say, it's my wife, she'll be like, just relax, I'm just not that kind of person who can. I can't stand traffic. So I can be sitting here in a completely contented mental state, happy with the world, everything's dandy. The minute I get out on the road, it turns into a nightmare. And I know that it's a mental thing, because there have been days where I'm totally relaxed, especially if I take a couple of Valium. I've noticed it over the years, because I don't take it very often. But when I do, and I have to drive, I'll just sit in the right lane and just puddle on. Traffic is what it is. This has brought me to realize that many people who already have the proper serotonin levels in their brain, who already have a good functioning dopamine and endocannabinoid system that works properly, may be able to keep a contented state where they don't need drugs, where they don't need distractions, where they're totally comfortable with meditation and this and that, and they tell others this could be for you, but they don't realize the brain chemistry difference. It's one of the biggest things that we leave out is brain chemistry. And I don't know if it's like I mentioned in my last video, I think it was in my last one, I don't know if it was this one, but when I was younger, I had all kinds of OCD, and this is another one of my issues. My OCD, like, you might notice I have twitches or tics, sometimes, like, I don't know, because I don't really notice them on myself, but, I have them. Don't point them out, I don't give a shit. I don't want to hear about it, because over the years I've had all kinds of different ones where I was like, I'd stretch my lips, and then I lick my lips for a long time. I had strange habits where I would have to step on, walk a certain way. If I bumped one leg or hand, I'd have to bump the other leg in the same spot, that kind of stuff. And it all became, something I didn't even really notice until my mom told me actually today that when I was about in kindergarten or first grade, she said that I came home and said that I don't like reading. And she asked why, and I said it's because every time I read a sentence, I have to read it backwards before I can read the next sentence. And when I heard that, that just totally related to basically all the types of weird behaviors I've had over the years. So, without going into too much detail, it's about building a certain development of conscientious awareness of who you are. Not denying yourself, but not hiding behind a blanket or hiding behind an image or a mask, and just being yourself. I think that the number one thing that causes these types of behaviors is stress. Because for me it was stress. When I stopped stressing, I stopped doing nervous habits. And I began to be able to sleep. Oh my God, if you're a person that can't sleep, I've been there, and I went through it for 5 years when I had back pain, but I realized that a lot of that time it wasn't even the back pain. It was stress that would wake me up. Worry about what I'm going to do next, How am I going to continue to work with my back, or something as dumb as how am I going to finish this job? And at one point I just let go. I let the world take me. I let the universe take me. I stopped fighting the current, yet I didn't just go with the flow and sink to the bottom. I got a life preserver and I rode the waves, and now I'm out there with the ebbs and the flows of the tide. And that's important. I made it from the river out to the ocean, and now I just sit near the shoreline and kind of come in and go out. And these are how my behaviors work. I go through cycles of behavior. And so I've been comparing this to other people who are very more straightforward in their way of living. They have a normal job they go to, 9 to 5. They do the same job every day. They come home, have the same family life, but they're contented with it. And it's not for me. I want something different all the time. And this is also, when I was mentioning drugs earlier and substances, addictions, that's why I have such a wide variety of different things I like doing. I'll take just about anything, as long, I don't do blow, I don't do white drugs, I don't shoot drugs, I don't do heroin or anything, but, I'll pop a couple Vicodin, or I'll take some, smoke some weed, have a couple drinks. I don't drink often, but I don't ever turn down any of these things merely because I have some sort of a block against them. Really, I'll just, whatever feels like the moment, I don't let the ego and the snobby, oh well, I don't touch that stuff, get in the way. And it's because I'm moderate with all my drugs. Everything I consume, I do in small amounts. I'm a pot smoker. I enjoy smoking cannabis. But although I have a shitload of it all the time, and I'm a grower, and I have access to all these different strong strains and hashes and food and candy, I don't eat the candy, I don't smoke the hash, and I only smoke about 2 bowls a day. Because I have a multitude of, I don't want to call them addictions, I want to call them enhancements. It's something I look forward to. It's a mini vacation for a few minutes. Get stoned for an hour, whatever. I don't sit there and take monster bong hits and cough my ass off, or try to prove that I could smoke more than the next guy, or brag that I smoke an ounce a day or anything. It's just maybe a gram a day. And I'm proud of it. I mean, I'm not proud of it. What I mean is I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? I hate it when I can't find a word because it'll just bug me forever. But I don't feel guilty about it, I guess. And I've always been the guy who has a variety of addictions and habits. And I've realized just today, and this is the connection I made, was to realize that all my variety of habits, while I know some people who have 1 or 2 habits that they stick to strongly, that they do a lot of, let's say like a strong alcoholic, heavy stoner, major chain smoker, alcoholic, all these things, they tend to be behaviors that relate to the person. And for example, if the person is the kind of person who lives a pretty consistent normal life where, they don't do a lot of changing in their thinking patterns, that might work for them. I'm a jack of all trades, or what they call a multi-potentialite. Whatever word you want to call it. I'm the kind of person I will never be satisfied with working a 9-to-5 job. I will never be happy at a mill, or working on a production line, or a conveyor belt, or packaging goods, or doing repetitious work, except for like carpentry, where I can do something different each day. I'm working with natural products, woods. I'm hoping to get into jewelry making. I have many hobbies, and I guess that's what I can go from all these negative things about myself to, I guess I gotta throw something positive in. As a jack of all trades, I do many things. I grow cannabis, I raise a family, I'm a carpenter. I enjoy working with chemistry and various, fun mixtures and stuff. I like to make my own hash oils. I like to make my own butter. I like to grow pot from seed and then all the way down to the candies and make my own food out of it. And I've noticed that there's a lot of people along the way, like a lot of growers don't want to have anything to do with the process of starting and raising from seed. They just take clones, they grow. That's their thing. Then there's other people who are into the breeding part, and other people who are into the making butter part, and other people who make the actual foods. But I like to do it all, and I've always been the guy who likes to do it all. So while my addictions may be a wide variety of smaller addictions, that works in my benefit for not doing any too much of one thing. It's moderation. And in the same way, my job, my life, the way I work is moderation. I put myself down a lot mentally by saying I could be doing more, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have. After losing a career and then trying to start over, I started growing my own bud because I couldn't afford to buy it anymore, and because I have a medical card. But it's not like I'm making money off of it. I'm trying to just get a wide variety of ideas. Like I've got a few ideas for Kickstarter, like I want to do this special edibles childproof container thing, and but I just got to do it. And so with all my great ideas and theories and things I want to do, that's another one of the negative parts of that, is that I am way too scattered in my thinking, so I can never focus on one thing long enough to get it accomplished. I'm always off to the next thing. So I have to be very cautious when I take on a new hobby. my wife will always be like, well, let's see if you're still interested in a month, or even 2 weeks. I guess maybe sometimes I get discouraged because it takes time to develop, a good system that works for making money, for living your daily life, and all of it's based on our thinking patterns, So, even with all my faults, and even though I'm aware of them, and there's many more, I just barely skim the surface. As you sit and consciously think about it, write it down, whether in your head or on paper, or make a video like I just did, things start to come out that you don't even realize. Especially with writing, that happens for me. And we start to realize that we are just human. And the image that we have of other people, the image they show us, is not always the real truth. And by some of the comments people have made to me, this is kind of what inspired me to make a video like this, was to say that, I've had people say, how do you make life so awesome? How do you enjoy life so much? And I don't know how you do it. I wake up and I worry. And I say, we all do. We all do. And this is the real me. This is my real personality. I'm not like a fucking fake. I don't come up here and float around and say, oh, your chakras are aligned, and I don't come out here and say everybody sucks. I just come out here and talk about how I feel. But there's still only the side you see of me is the side that you see that I present to you. I hold back, just like everyone does. So, by the comments and the things people have considered about me, I have to say, hey dude, I'm way flawed human. Big time. Don't follow my path. I'm just spitting what I think, But I realize with that, how much we invest in other people. Celebrities are the perfect example. People see these people and they think they have these perfect lives. It's ridiculous. Celebrities can be some of the most miserable people. We've seen it over and over. Killing themselves and doing stupid things, and child stars that live these lives of drug use and become addicts, and they're forced into this shit. It's, but we see these people as like these heroes, just like rock stars. I'm a musician. My brother wanted to be a rock star. We played in a band for like 2 different bands, a punk band and then an experimental like jam band. And he always wanted to make it big, make it famous. And the other day I heard him say, it sucked when I realized that it was all a gimmick. I said, rock and roll's not the gimmick. Making a living off it is a gimmick, just like art. Any art. So, yeah, it's tough. Life has some realities, kicks us in the ass sometimes, but, just pick them up and move on. So, there. I'm all faulty and messed up, but I have many strengths, and those are what I focus on. I don't dwell on my negative aspects, but I work on them and I don't deny them. It's just like when I've heard people say, like, I remember Gabriel, one of my guys, he mentioned something about, denying our negative emotions, and how this New Age movement tends to, negate anger, negate feelings of, guilt or remorse. These are part of being alive. Now, I don't know how to put it any more bluntly. I don't like to be the guy that says, this is how it is, but this is how it is. This is the world we live in. This is who we are. We live in a culture where we can sit here and say, it should be this way, it should be that way. And everybody's a fucking idealist, but how far can it go? We've had idealists for, centuries, thousands of years, and they've always had great ideas. But the fact is, society will never follow suit because we're too flustered, there's too much going on. And by the time one generation finally maybe gets it figured out, the next generation's there to fuck it up. Or maybe by the next time one generation fucks it up, the next generation's there to fix it. We can only hope that with our modern technological age, we can conquer a few more of our demons, so to speak, and move forward as a species, because we do belong here. This is our planet. This is our home. And we can't just feel like a defeatist, like everything's coming to an end, and oh well. Like I heard a couple people say on a comment thing, oh well, the ship's sinking, might as well just watch it burn. said, no. This is your community, and you're an individual, and you have to make a difference. You have to do something to voice how you feel, because only with everyone's opinion can we get a real view, of the world. I had somebody from, I think, India earlier leave me a comment on one of my videos, and he said he looked like a younger fellow, and he said, I'm from India, and he said, I'm glad I found your video. It made me realize that I'm not the only one that thinks this way, and I've got quite a few like this from people, but he said, now I have faith that there are good people that really do care in this world. And it's funny that it takes, that people will look so hard to find that. And I went out seeking people on YouTube a while back to try to find people who were, I used keywords like integrity, values, acceptance, life. I tried all these different keywords to find people like me who just spoke their mind and had a heart. And I found lots, but eventually they all faded and I had to unsubscribe, which I respect the fact that, a lot of people have unsubbed me too. Probably they don't agree with my views, and that's fine. But some of these people become very arrogant and cocky, and point being, it's very difficult to find people who really speak their minds and feel in their hearts that we can make a change. But having that feeling in their hearts that's based on experience, based on knowledge, not just somebody saying the New World Order is taking over and we need to wipe them out or send all the bankers to prison, just a lot of unproductive stuff going on out there. So, alas, like I've said, these are my opinions, and there very well may be some pressing issues that I'm unaware of, but all I can do is work on myself. And until we start working on our behavior towards one another, first we work on ourselves, and we work on our own realization of who we are. Then we start working on our behaviors and how we act towards others, because everybody deserves respect. Somebody made a comment earlier on a video. Something to the effect of, I can't believe people are still believing this conspiracy nonsense. And then somebody left a comment to them that said something to the effect of, well, you're just an idiot. And it was much worse than that. But I've seen this over and over and over. I was called a shill or paid informant twice on that thread. Just for leaving a comment saying, I don't know, it might not be true. But anyway, the point being that the types of behaviors that we have towards one another, they're shameful, and they're things that we probably wouldn't do to one another face to face. I'm sitting here talking into a camera. I'm another fucking garage warrior, pardon my language in this video, but I'm just a guy sitting here talking about how I feel. But I do feel that I have a little more leeway in certain elements. In other words, my experience is no more valid than another person's.